And play. That's just a real simple way of applying some of these rhythms. Now, if you guys can sit down. There's no nice way of kicking people off stage. Thank you so much for helping out, guys. It's that easy, and it's so much fun. Now, you'll notice that I had Danny playing just kind of random stuff on the timbales. Some other instruments that are pretty common to the go-go stage include like rototoms, which a lot of us make jokes about, but they're pretty common on stage, especially during the early '80s, mid '80s go-go's heyday. And the mini conga, which I heard an interesting story. One of the percussionists for Rare Essence, I think Tyrone Williams is his name. Apparently, he bought a pair of mini congas because he couldn't afford big congas, and he found out through the process of using them on stage that they actually cut through the band a lot better. And now when you go to a Chuck Brown show, there's a dude playing offbeats on, so he's just playing the whole show he's doing that. I don't know how his hand doesn't fall off. But on a midi conga, and when you think about it, you see those in a store and you think, oh, that's cute, but what do I use it for? They, depending on the band, sort of an integral part of the music. So, my challenge for the go-go thing was trying to figure out how I could incorporate all these rhythms to the best of my ability on just the drum set. And it happened out of a practical situation. And this is why I really like these events, is to talk about practical situations where if each of you guys go home today thinking, okay, well, if I ever need to play something that sounds like a go-go group and I don't have a percussionist on stage with me, I can kind of fake it. So it's like it's something that's already in your pocket, you can take it home and use it. I was playing with a gentleman by the name of Justin Trewick, who's a regional singer-songwriter guy who incorporates a lot of different styles into his music. But one of his favorite things to do when he plays his home venue at Iota in Arlington is to invite a bunch of his friends from the DC rap scene to come out and do like an old school rap medley or rap battle in the middle of the set. And they'll last for 15 or 20 minutes, but it's usually the highlight of the show and people are dancing their butts off. And So I thought, man, wouldn't it be cool to drop a go-go groove in the middle of that? But what I realized was when you just play the basic go-go beat by itself, it's just missing so much. There's just all that extra percussion is missing. And so what I did is I don't exactly remember how it came together. But it was a combination of sitting at the kit and using my ears and stealing some ideas that I'd already heard some of my favorite drummers play. And so if you flip to the Evolution of a Groove page, what I wanted to do was I wanted to be able to keep that basic bass drum rhythm going. And I wanted to get that cowbell thing that I said you could maybe call go-go clave if you wanted to. I wanted to have that in there. And when I really sat down and thought about those patterns, I realized that they're actually, does anyone realize the relationship between those two patterns?
They're inverse.
They're just inverse of each other. They're the same rhythm out of phase by 1 measure, pretty much. So it's not too hard to get those two rhythms happening. But you're missing the backbeat, and so when you go to the 4th line, you insert the backbeat. It starts to sound like a go-go groove. Right? But that's a pretty linear beat, and I'm not really doing enough with my hands to feel like I'm holding down the time. And so I just filled in the 8th notes that are left with ghost notes. And so when you do that, you get this. And it starts to feel good. It starts to sound like a go-go beat. And you don't necessarily have that hi-hat sound like you used to have, or even like an open sound, but you can fake that with your left foot. And when you do that, it starts to sound pretty complete. And if you incorporate the kick splash, you can kind of get a nice wash, out of the hi-hat sound too. And it sounds like a go-go groove. Now, completely by accident, when I looked at that pattern, if you examine the sort of the next to last line where it says add ghost strokes, this pattern has some really remarkable sort of symmetrical qualities to it too, doesn't it? Which makes it actually really easy to learn, really easy to teach if you're willing to be deliberate with it and take the time. And so the next page is the first of 3 pages, and of the 2 or 3 guys in the room that are former students of mine, you guys know that I can be pretty exhaustive and thorough with my handouts. So there's a lot of information here, but it's basically just meant to help any of you guys who struggle with this at all. Some of you guys can probably sit down right now and play this, and that's great. Some of you guys have probably already played stuff like this before. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun. But for those of you guys that are new to the instrument or have played the instrument for a while but have never played a go-go groove, this comes together pretty quickly. Looking at the building a linear go-go beat thing, first of all, just to make sure we're clear on terminology, what does linear mean? Anyone?
Straight. And it means continuous, and it means
it doesn't geometry.
Parallel.
But in terms of drums,
it's pretty much total independence of each other.
Yeah, linear is supposed to mean you're never ever hitting anything at the same time, right? And so it tends to involve beats where your bass drum is like a third arm, and your right hand's not usually holding down that quarter note or that 8th note the way it would in a normal beat, right? So does anyone want to come up and try to play any of this stuff? Either you guys want to try? Did you get a chance to look at it last night?
Yeah.
Anybody want to try? Yeah? Need to adjust this stuff. All right.